Good afternoon, everybody. It's April 22nd. It's Wednesday afternoon, a little midweek update. Remember, today you have the opportunity for the drive-through in the parking lot of the behind the church for drive-through for dinner tonight from 5 to 6:15. Stacy Collins has been and her helpers have been putting that all together today for you. It's chicken and fettuccine. So it sounds really good. I hope that's an opportunity for you just to get out a little bit too. We looks like we're going to have some changes in the near future that are probably good. We're just going to have to figure out how we're going to do all of this. But apparently, the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, is opening churches up, but they're suggesting, lots of different guidelines with that. They're particularly concerned about folks over 65 and the younger children, so on both extremes there. So we're just going to have to come up with a plan in trying to agree with the guidelines in practice with social distancing, the elderly, the children, a lot of things to think about. So we'll be working on that, but it sounds like maybe sooner rather than later we'll be able to start meeting together again, which would be great. Meanwhile, the virtual services I think have been going pretty good, and we've been getting a lot of good feedback from people and people that we haven't heard from in a long time, or people that moved off, or people that I've known from other places, and being blessed by the services. So appreciate your prayers for all that, and just appreciate all the people on the behind the scenes working, like Matt and others, and Sean and Terry, of course, with the music, and it's appreciate all of that. We also are thinking about people that are maybe having a difficult time. We keep hearing about people losing their jobs, being laid off. We have people in our membership like that, and we have people outside our membership, people you probably know. And it's difficult. I can't imagine how difficult it is. And if you lose your job, this is not the easiest time to find a job. Probably with something similar to what you do. So it's very difficult, and it can create an atmosphere for a lot of anxiety, I think, obviously. So I wanted to read to you again a passage I go to often, which is John 14:1. Jesus said, "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me." And so Jesus is directing us to not allow our hearts to be troubled. Well, how is it that we can do that? We can do that because our faith is in God. That's what verse 1 is talking about. Because our faith is in God and not in the circumstance of our life, or the trial of our life, or the lack of in our life, we can choose to keep our hearts from being troubled. The antithesis of being troubled would be to be steady and to be confident and to be trusting. And I think this is what Jesus is calling upon us to do. And sometimes we might say that's easier said than done, particularly when we find ourselves being laid off, and I would agree wholeheartedly. Nevertheless, God's word is true, and God's word is there for you. Jesus wrote those words. Jesus spoke those words, and they were written later for you and for me 2,000 years later to help you in your life, to help keep your heart trusting and depending upon God, because He will meet all our needs. The Bible tells us this. He made a promise that He would keep us, watch over us, and take care of us. And so we're going to continue to trust Him. And so our job as a church is to pray for each other. We don't have to meet with each other to pray for each other. We can certainly do that, and we should be doing that. So if you hear of somebody that has been laid off or lost their job, make sure that you're praying for them and you're spreading the word to others to lift them up, to help them, not only for God to meet their needs, but for their hearts to keep from being troubled. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.